everyone, welcome to another Good Vibes Gaming discussion. I'm your host, Brandon Miracle, joined today by art director Daniel Alba.
Hello.
And special guest, AntDude.
Hello, it's me.
Hey.
I'm here. Hi.
We're here to talk about the new Kirby in the Forgotten Land copy abilities and co-op trailer. Before we got started, I decided to invite Ant on because Ant is now typecast as the Kirby guy. We had this discussion before we got started.
It's perfect for me. I've been waiting for my moment, and this is
the chosen one.
Yeah.
So this is another example of Nintendo just deciding, instead of, releasing a direct or something, they're just going to Twitter drop a trailer and call it a day. And what a trailer they did, because there's a lot in here. Specifically, lots of new copy ability looks, as well as the reveal of co-op in Bandana Waddle Dee, which is awesome. Ant, I'm just going to throw it to you. What are your initial impressions of all this?
Yeah, I love the idea of Nintendo just dropping trailers. I know when they started doing this with like Paper Mario and stuff, people were like, I miss direct info dumps and whatever, but there was something really exciting about waking up at like 10 a.m. and then just seeing my Twitter feed just blowing up with pictures of Kirby with a gun. It was fantastic. But yeah, no, and considering we didn't know much about the game at all, like if you were to ask me when the game revealed, I was like, okay, yeah, we got it. It's happening, cool. It wasn't super exciting mechanically. It was just, it's a 3D Kirby game, not cool. I wonder what they do. We got so much extra info. The thing that I was really wondering was how the level progression was going to be. Was it going to be full open world? Was it going to be segmented level based? And getting that info with it being level based with a Waddle Dee town based hub world, it's perfect. That's the perfect way to make a 3D Kirby game, in my opinion.
It is really special so far. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, I've had this feeling in my heart that I've wanted a kind of 3D Kirby game ever since I played Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, where they just tease you with the whole 2D, 3D aspect. Like, there's a whole world to explore, but you can only move in two directions. And this is exactly what we're finally getting to see more of, like just expanding that, seeing what kind of worlds we can explore with Kirby. And this is our first time looking at different biomes too, which we'll talk about more later, but just getting a good look at what we think are the first couple of worlds, and it's looking so good. Like even right off the bat, there are new copy abilities that are specifically making use of the fact that it is in a 3D space, that you can like move around in a circle, and even the ones that are already coming back, like Hammer, they're working exactly as they do in the 3D space that you would imagine they would, and it looks like it's translating very well from what we have seen previously on all other 2D Kirby games.
It makes me wonder why they've waited until now to do this. Obviously, like, these graphics and visuals and performance all look really solid. But, Mario was right there at the forefront, hooing and hawing around Peach's castle back in the 90s. So I have to wonder why they waited this long. That said...
Yeah, I don't know.
It couldn't come at a better time, because for me, I don't know about you guys, but Kirby... specifically, like, the main series games were getting a little stale for me. Like, I liked Kirby Star Allies, but it was still just kind of Kirby, not anything too evolved.
Like, Kirby went into this weird lull where, like, the 3DS era is so cool for Kirby, because Triple Deluxe and Robobot both slap. They're both fantastic. They had great eShop games. That was coming off the heels of Return to Dreamland, which was also really good. And Epic Yarn really good. But then as that was done, they did like an Epic Yarn port that was weird. Kirby Battle Royale, which nobody played. Maybe a solid dozen people played that. Rainbow Curse, everyone slept on because it was on the Wii U. And then Star Allies was just really lacking. It was great with fan service over time, but Kirby didn't feel like it had ambition since Planet Robobot, which was, oh man, I don't even remember when Robobot released. It was like 2013? So it's been a minute.
I think it was a little later than that, but it was still a while ago.
Let me see, Planet Robobot, 2016, that was way off. So a good 6 years or so of needing a lot of innovation in Kirby, and we're getting it finally. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm especially excited at the thought of the boss fights in this game, because Kirby boss fights have always been kind of similar. Like, they're always leaning on Wispy Woods and Kracko and all those familiar faces. But then, like, if you dig a little deeper into the trailer, there's like this really wide wispy looking thing. It's like
I think it's
like a palm
Tropic
tree.
Woods, I think is what they called him.
And it's a palm tree, and he's huge, but his roots are like going underground and chasing after Kirby. There's a lot more going on here.
And he has a soul patch.
That is also true.
The tree has a soul patch.
Adds a
which is
lot
important.
of character.
He's definitely a surfer dude, even if he can't.
I saw someone say Galarian Wispy Woods, which is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Isn't it funny that this whole trailer has like this sort of vacation-y vibe to the music in the background, even though it's supposed to be like a very apocalyptic, and themes like that, like this really large palm tree wispy, just lends even more to that aspect of it.
Right.
That this is the happiest end of the world that there could possibly be.
As it would be with Kirby.
Yeah, that's good. That's still the big mystery is going to be the story, because everyone is anticipating some just insane lore dump with the final boss, and is it actually an apocalyptic setting that only Waddle Dees have survived or something like that? It's hard to tell, because you had like the Iceland, the carnival. It doesn't make much sense in a post-apocalyptic setting, but if we're comparing it to Nier Automata,
I was just thinking
which
exactly.
the carnival was like the second level, and there was a lot of sand areas, which is also at the end of the trailer, so there's a lot of similarities.
They exactly put the carnival section, and then right after the like very deserty ruined area that I directly compared to on Twitter with like shots from Nier that look like this is the same game. You can't tell me this isn't going to be the same game, but Kirby's going to have the darker story.
There's this little blue character that we saw in the original trailer that's a little more pronounced here. I don't remember if we got a name for them yet.
I don't know, actually.
But
we did actually.
If we're going by previous Kirby games, I wouldn't be surprised if this character is directly tied to the final boss.
Oh no.
Or is in fact the final boss.
So its name is Elfilin. And you're trying to take down the ferocious Beast Pack. So
right.
that's the plot. Yeah. All right.
That makes me wonder about the section we see later in the game with the hub world that you mentioned before. Like, how does this all tie together, and what all are the activities that we're going to be able to do in the hub world? Because I see fishing, looks like a cafe of some kind.
There's a Coliseum in the background.
There's a Coliseum, yeah.
And a movie theater?
I mean, like Kirby games traditionally always have like sub games and stuff, so it looks like it's going to be more like there's probably not like a main menu. It's probably like you jump in and you're in Waddle Dee Town.
It's the Waddle District.
Ooh,
I like that.
That's good. That's good. And then I guess the more you unlock the Waddle Dees, the more you populate the town. Like it's an old RPG, and you unlock stuff that way.
Oh, that could be interesting.
That's my guess.
It'd be like the Peach's Castle approach, where the more you play the game, the more the hub world expands as you go. Yeah, I like that.
Which is cool, because typically like the Kirby unlockables that you get are just like an extra thing on top of your adventure. But if there's a more direct unlocking reward, you see the Waddle Dees populate the town that you've saved. That just makes things feel cooler, I guess.
So what do you guys think of the new copy abilities that we're seeing here? Like drill, and the more interesting one, in my opinion, the gun.
Kirby with a gun. It's about time. It's been memed on for so long.
He's finally got the firepower.
Kirby's had a gun in the anime and Smash with his neutral special. If he took Joker, he wield a gun. It's finally time to get a gun in the main game. It's great.
I love it.
Yeah, and the drill power-up kind of reminds me of, I don't know, have you guys played New Super Lucky's Tale?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, the drilling mechanic. Yeah,
the kind of digging ability that Lucky has. Yeah, it looks very similar to that. Which is cool. I'm always looking forward to new Kirby copy abilities. and can't say that gun was on the list of ones I thought we were gonna get.
I mean, it makes sense mechanically speaking. You know, in a 3D space, you need more range, and what better ranged weapon? He used to have an archer ability, but he doesn't go. Those don't go that far. A gun, though, it can go as far as you want. You can shoot across the entire other part of the world.
The next time DDD tries to mess with Kirby's just gonna
pop one in him.
Done.
You're done.
Double tap him on the ground.
Done.
Yeah, and then like I mentioned earlier with Drill, like you're seeing how they're already applying the use of 3D space with Kirby's new abilities already. It's like if you drill a circle around an enemy, it makes like a giant stalagmite come out from the ground and make that into its own attack. So I'm wondering what other uses this has other than just attacking. Maybe you can use it for traversal to get to secret areas as well.
Yeah, it's probably puzzle solving that will take effect because you know there's going to be platforms you hit the hammer on, so there'll probably be stuff similar to that. There's going to be targets that are far away that you use the gun for
sure.
And like some of the old power-ups look like they made the transition good too. Like Tornado looks really fun in 3D because you're just going in and mowing down everything in your path.
That's kind of something I'm hoping for the powers in this game specifically, because I think one of my primary complaints with the copy abilities in the traditional 2D Kirby games is that not a lot of them have like specific uses outside of, hey, you're just breathing fire, or you know, you're breathing ice, or you're spinning like a tornado. But in 3D space, especially if they integrate it with the world traversal, I feel like these powers are going to feel a lot more impactful. And for me at least, just be like a greater part of the experience, because what I ended up doing, especially like, you know, Daniel and I are playing through Kirby Superstar right now, I have two powers that I like to get. I like to get Hammer and I like to get Yo-Yo, and just because
Yo-Yo is really good,
I just like the way they feel and they're strong. But outside of that, like, I wouldn't like go to fire for any specific reason other than to light, you know, one of the cannons, or one of like the 2 or 3 cannons in that entire game.
Right.
So I just want to see a little bit more of that, and based on what we're seeing here, I think that's going to be the case, which is exciting.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're like going halfways with this. Like they looks like they've been sitting on 3D Kirby ideas for a while, and we'll just slowly get to see them implement. I don't even know about slowly. It's releasing in 2 months. I mean, that's going to be a part of the conversation. But it looks like they put way more thought into the 3D space than I was initially giving them credit for. Because I was worried. That like there were going to be elements that didn't fit. Like, yeah, just seeing like the bomb being used. I know like a little reticle shows up when you're about to throw something. Just a smart little thing like that. Crash being in a 3D space looks cool. God, yeah, even Waddle Dee. You're talking about the co-op. Like, his spear abilities look more fleshed out than, like, typically it's just, it's just spear as a character. But him twirling and having stuff fly down, like, it's cool. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Wildly was just a much more robust moveset, since that's the thing with Kirby multiplayer, is that one person gets to be every copy ability, and then the other person are just limited to what they have, like sword or hammer with Kirby's Return to Dreamland. So I would pretty much expect, that Wildly is going to be having essentially a whole Smash moveset on him, so that he can be fun for the other player to use and not be like, oh, I wish I had sword or drill or something like that.
Right.
That begs the question, though, like, is Bandana Waddle Dee the only secondary character in the game? Or can you play as a second Kirby? Because they've not shied away from, you know, Kirby and Kerbo, you know, all
Kibi?
of the Kibi, yeah, like all the vowels in the language. You know, we've had different iterations of Kirby himself, and I don't see a reason not to have that in here. Like, I like the idea of getting to play as Bandana D, especially in 3D, because it's so fresh. But if I'm playing with my wife and she's tired of using the spear, I don't want to give up Kirby.
Sure.
Yeah, they've only announced, Nintendo's only announced that one Bandana Waddle Dee will be 2-player and simultaneous co-op. They've explained nothing further than if there's more characters to play as, if there's more than 2-player co-op, if it's just Bandana Dee and Kirby. Being a little coy about that, unless that's all it is.
Right. I mean, my perspective's a little different. If anyone wants to play these games co-op, by all means. I am not a fan of co-op in platformers unless the game is specifically designed around it. You know, It Takes Two, obviously. Right. That's a co-op game. But whenever they added co-op to any of the other Kirby games, any other platformer you can think of, I was just never really a fan. Because I like going at my own pace, because I tend to play games fast. And if you don't have that right person, it just bogs down the experience for one or another. So if someone else, if say you think a second Kirby is a better fit, I will take your word for it. Because this game will primarily just be single player for me. So as long as you can see Waddle Dee is more fleshed out, that seems neat. But
yeah, I kind of draw to games like Luigi's Mansion 3 and the way co-op worked in that game, because Guigi was a core part of your moveset. Like, he was required to play through the game. He had most of Luigi's abilities plus some of his own. And I found that playing that game with another person actually enhanced the experience in a lot of ways. So I can definitely see the argument that just tacking on another player wouldn't be that exciting. But for me, I would hope that it would go further than that, right? Like,
sure.
I want there to be co-op challenges in the game in some way.
That would be cool.
Like,
that would be really cool.
Like, give me a reason to have someone with me. Like, if there's 2 players, 2 Kirbys, for example, each one having a different power, maybe those powers combine in 3D in a way that they wouldn't if they were just by themselves. But, that's all speculation because we don't know.
Right.
I would love a mode specifically tailored for like Kirby and Bandana Dee to do together.
Yeah, there's definitely some potential there. But is there anything in here that specifically speaks to you, Ant? Anything that stands out in your mind?
For me, I'm not huge into gacha stuff when it comes to gacha games, but I love random little collectibles on top of games. So seeing like the Kirby figurine gacha station is very cute. I'm curious to see how far that they'll go. But anything else that specifically sticks out is it's just reassuring that it looks like a quality experience, which is all I wanted. I'm glad they're finally reinventing Kirby a little bit. And then I saw it says on the website, it wasn't in any other details, but there's shops and stuff you unlock, but it says leaderboards also. Because if you see briefly in the trailer when they start showing the Wise Waddle Dee character and the gacha thing, it shows the Switch Online membership tag. So co-op is not going to be online. I think they may have already said local only. But there definitely are data sharing mechanics. So I guess if there's leaderboards for the sub games, that's neat. I would then assume like there's maybe a time trial mode would be cool. Something there, like there'll probably be a boss rush mode and your best times will be recorded, and that stuff, that just a little bit of extra replay value would be nice, because Star Allies got close because the extra mode in there where you just run through the story as any character was cool, but you couldn't share your times with anybody, so it was just felt like this solo experience. But that just gives the game a little bit of extra longevity. But
yeah. Anything that sticks out to you, Daniel?
Kirby can go fishing.
That's
appreciate the fact that at this point many games have fishing, and they should implement it in any way possible, and I really appreciate it.
You're a man after my own heart, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Any fishing
I went on this long diatribe, and you're like, but he has a hat, and he sits down.
He's just having a good time with vacation music in the background. No, I have a bigger one, but fishing was definitely one thing that he's just having a good time. Aside from that, I'm thinking more mechanically about the game. I noticed how throughout they showed the whole cutscene where there's Waddle Dees captured in these cages, and Kirby goes out and saves these Waddle Dees. I wonder how much that plays into the overall structure of the worlds, because Like, I don't expect, obviously, nothing that's like Mario Odyssey wide exploration, but at least something maybe a little bit wider than what we're expecting. Hopefully that maybe paths branch out somewhere, or there's more to explore than we think. And you can find Waddle Dees in these different portions. And then there's the portion where there's I guess at the end of a stage, perhaps at the end of a stage, there's a gold cage with 3 Waddle Dees. And I wonder if this is anything like how Mario Odyssey works with the moons, where you find singles everywhere, and then maybe at the end there's a boss to fight, or just at the end of the stage there's the 3 that signifies, oh, that's the end of the level, and then you move on to the next one. I wonder if there's any structure that's like that, but that's just something I thought of when I saw how saving these are pretty integral to the game, and also just expanding the little district for the Waddle Dees.
I could be misremembering, but I think in the first trailer, especially like with the gorilla boss, I want to say he was carrying. Yeah, he's got a gold cage
on his neck. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
So I think you're exactly right. Those are definitely tied to bosses. So yeah, it's kind of borrowing from Mario Odyssey in a weird way.
It's fine. That's fine. This will be the superior game.
Oh,
at
wow.
the end of the day.
Oh my
Calling
goodness.
it right now.
My hot take of the century was I prefer 3D World to Odyssey. I always preferred linear 3D platformers. So that was why I was really happy when Kirby went for a more linear approach than an open world approach. I was a little worried for my own heart. Everyone else would have been fine with it, but for me. So to me, Internet, this will be the superior game.
That's a valid take, you know.
You're really not alone in that. I've been pretty vocal about how I prefer the Mario team's like Galaxy-style level design, more obstacle coursey, a little more linear, because then it's focused more on challenging you with the actual platforming, which to me is the point of a platformer. So you know,
and it'll be a better use of just the abilities that are given your way.
Yeah, it's at that structure.
But that, you know, that lends the question, though, like, how expansive are these levels? Are you meant to revisit them? Do they change over time? So, like, if I go to a level, say I go to the first level, you know, after having played 7 more, are there going to be more elements there that I couldn't interact with before? What kind of structure is that going to take?
That's not typically a Kirby thing. Kirby games are usually, like, if you know what you're doing, you can beat every level in one go. 100%. So typically they don't have replay in that aspect, because you're never really unlocking new permanent upgrades to your lineup.
Sure.
So I wouldn't think so, personally. But again, who knows? Like, leading into this, people also have to remember Star Allies ended with the development team saying that was the end of that saga of Kirby, whatever word that they used. And we don't even necessarily know exactly what that fully means yet, but they could be completely changing their design philosophy with this, so it might not even matter.
Had a small idea, because one of the shops you can unlock in the little district, it has like a little map and then a hat, like Link's hat from Sword Kirby. I wonder if over time you can kind of unlock abilities to just, you know, start a level with. That you normally, you know, maybe you normally wouldn't have that in a stage. So I remember Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, would have certain shards that you need to carry an ability from another stage into that stage in order to get the shard. So I wonder if maybe, like for example, as you mentioned, the first level, you might need, say, the drill ability to get to save a certain Waddle Dee. But that's not in the stage. Maybe you have to unlock it in this little shop, and then you carry that through most of the stage, and the challenge is to not lose it as you carry it through, and then you unlock it that way. Might be a different way to kind of integrate, you know, using these abilities a bit more expansively, and just having them be more valuable, or who knows. That's just a thought that they might be able to help expand using abilities in this game with.
You know, I think you're onto something, because looking at this building, if you look in the windows, there's little hat displays. So it makes me wonder if there's some kind of permanence to those. Like, if you buy a hat, can you just pull it out and put it on when you feel like? How does it work? And then my assumption with the treasure map, or the map icon next to it, maybe you buy a map that unlocks something in another stage, and then you go to that stage to wherever the map tells you to go, and then there's something there to find, or maybe a treasure.
Maybe. Yeah, it really depends what that house is for.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more boring with my predictions on.
Go for it.
I never like setting my expectations that like super high. I think it might just be a costume shop, instead of like a hat upgrade thing, because like Kirby Fighters introduced costumes for all the abilities. I think Kirby Clash did that also.
I forgot about.
So I think
that,
it would just be like you
Right.
get a different sword hat. So then when you get sword, it's not Link's hat, it's something different, is my guess. Or a different sword. Like maybe you get Meta Knight's sword instead, and it plays the same, but it just looks different. Is
Cosmetic.
my more boring guess.
Honestly, to me, that's less boring and more interesting.
Really? Okay.
Cosmetics in video games are a big deal to me. Like, I love all the costumes in Mario Odyssey. That's one thing that I would hope to carry forward in future games.
For sure.
And doing that with Kirby, who's already just flippin' adorable, would be amazing.
For sure. And then the map idea. If I were to have a different assumption, maybe after you beat a boss, you don't immediately unlock the next level. Maybe you have to take the currency you earned and buy the map to the next land. That's how you get to the ice area of the world that you're in, or the carnival area. Just thinking.
The land is forgotten.
One of us will be right. One of us will be right.
Someone has to remember.
One of us will get tagged on like the gaming predictions done right Twitter, and it's just a matter of who it's gonna be.
Or we all end up on the aged poorly Twitter. I mean, that
Or
could happen
that.
too.
That's a possibility
fine
too.
That's fine too.
But yeah, I mean, everything else I think from this trailer going forward, I think would just purely be speculation at this point. But is there any final thoughts from you guys? What are you thinking so far?
It's gonna be good. So two things that I am taking away, sort of separate from the game itself, I guess, like in its core, is one, I'm seeing so many people say this game looks better than it has any right to be, which, whatever, Kirby games have been great for forever, but if this just means that it's going to be like the best-selling Kirby game, which the Switch effect has had with some franchises, that is fine with me. And then it just gets me excited as a Switch gamer, because like the first part of 2022 is pretty stacked, with Arceus, this, and Advance Wars almost back-to-back, plus we don't know what's happening later on in the year. So the game is looking to be great. As the Kirby guy on YouTube, that means I'm gonna eat good for when this game comes out. But outside of that, it's exciting to see such excitement for Kirby, which I don't think I've seen this much excitement for a Kirby game since maybe Epic Yarn? I think, when that art style was revealed and everyone was like, this looks amazing. And then, while the other Kirby games are really good, I didn't see a ton of excitement. So
I can even kind of admit to that myself, because like from a core Kirby like mainline series perspective, I've never been the biggest fan. I've always been very drawn to Kirby's spin-off games like Kirby Air Ride, Kirby Mass Attack, stuff like that. Just because it's always new and different, and you get a different experience with all of those games. For me, like the quintessential Kirby mainline experience was like Kirby Superstar, and after I had that, nothing else quite scratched that itch. I love Kirby's Dream Land 2 and a couple of the other games, but it doesn't excite me the way that this does, because this is like the core idea behind Kirby, but in a way we've never seen it before. And that's super exciting to me.
Sure.
Yeah, the Kirby games, it's funny that these Kirby games are the ones that experiment the most with Kirby as the character. Like they have Kirby's Dream Course where you play golf, Kirby Air Ride, as you mentioned, a racing game, even more alongside like the actual like console experiences like Epic Yarn or Rainbow Curse. Like these games, all Canvas Curse even, like they play with Kirby so much, and as you mentioned, it's surprising that it took this long to actually just put him in a 3D space where you can do exactly what people have been wanting for a very long time now. I have been a fan of Kirby for such a long time. I mentioned already Kirby 64. That's the first one I ever played, and I've been played pretty much most Kirby games since then. And just to see this here, it's exciting. It's a breath of fresh air to see little Pollo running around the world and causing havoc to all the friendly animals that just want to live in this apocalyptic world.
With a gun. With a gun.
Putting a gun to these characters' faces now.
Love it.
Kirby's not here to reverse the apocalypse. Kirby caused the apocalypse.
He's here to hasten it.
So before we wrap up here, Ant, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us and talking about Kirby.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, of course. I am the Kirby guy. I get it, so it's fine.
Why don't you let people know where they can find you on the internet?
Twitter and YouTube, AntDude92. There'll be a video on this, absolutely, plus other Kirby content, because this is my year. It's Kirby's 30th anniversary, also. They may not have celebrated Metroid's anniversary with the fancy graphic like they do Kirby, but they are, with the games, their celebrating anniversary is pretty good. So whatever, they said there's going to be more activities coming down the way, and I'll be here for it, so.
That graphic they posted even had the anime on it, which was
Dude,
awesome.
it was so
wild?
cool. It was just Kirby holding little plushes of Tiff and Toph, and I don't know if that means anything, if they're gonna re-release the anime or somehow make new episodes. That'd be crazy. They made new episodes on 3DS, which is weird.
They did.
But it was very cool to see.
So once again, thanks for watching us talk about Kirby in the Forgotten Land. This game will come out at the end of March, so I can't believe how close that is. For more info on Kirby and all those conversations, make sure to stay here on Good Vibes Gaming. We have a Patreon. You can contribute for as little as $1 a month. It really helps us out. But until then, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Bye, all.
All right.
Bye.
Till we meet again.